Hello Starlets, I'm Sarah from Everyday Starlet. Welcome to my channel. We're bringing a little bit of glamour to everyday life. If you want to join my Starlet squad, be sure you hit that subscribe button. Today I want to talk to you about fragrance, in particular how to find your signature scent. The fragrance you wear can set your mood, it can set the scene, and it actually can be something that can give you sense memory so that when you actually smell it later on in life, say you switch your scent, when you smell that scent, it can make you think of that time in your life. So I want to give you some tips that I've learned and picked up along the way as to how to find the perfect signature fragrance for you in your life right now. Now your signature fragrance could and probably should change over time, just depending on your likes, your needs, your wants, and some fragrances just they're not around forever. So I'm going to give you my top tips for how to find the signature fragrance that most represents you. Now this is something that takes time, finding a really great signature fragrance that's you. You know, maybe it'll happen for you right away. Maybe it will take forever. You never know. I think it depends on how much research you've already done, how much into fragrance you already are. I'm going to help you through this journey. So however long it takes, I'm telling you it's worth it. Having a signature fragrance, definitely worth the time and effort. So step number one is to make a list of all the scents that you love. This actually includes the fragrances that you already love, and you know what? Even if they're discontinued, like a fragrance you used to wear a long time ago that you love to wear that got discontinued, I guarantee if you Google it, you can find a website that will tell you the notes and the description of the fragrance. So that's important too, because it's something that you were drawn to at one point in your life. So it might actually be a good representation of just the sort of notes or type of fragrance that you tend to be drawn to, even if that fragrance isn't particularly something that you would wear nowadays. Like, I think we all have like a Bath and Body Works body spray from like when we were teenagers, and like that's all we could afford, that we smell and we're just like, oh yeah, that brings me back to my teen years. Like for me, it's actually a Victoria's Secret body spray. I think it was called Vanilla Lace. I don't think they make that anymore, but that was my jam when I was like, I'd say like late in high school, like just out of high school, like I was first dating, and like I swear to God, if I smell that now, I probably will think about that time and like first love and stuff like that. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. And while I would not want to wear that fragrance now, because I do feel like if I smelled it now, it would feel a little bit too young for me, maybe a little cheap for me, and I do think that was kind of known as like a stripper fragrance at the time, but I feel like the fact that I was drawn to that sort of like sweet vanilla fragrance, it just said something about me and the type of scents that I'm drawn to. So make a list of any fragrances that you currently love or ones that you've loved in the past, and I would go through and do some research. You can find, if they're current fragrances, you know, go to something like Sephora or something, or look them up online, and you can find the list of the notes. You can kind of get a hint of like what their signature scents are, and that might help determine what scents that you're drawn towards. Also see what category they fall under. Some websites like Sephora will actually tell you like what category they are, like are they a fruity fragrance or are they a floral fragrance. It will just help you kind of see which ones you're naturally drawn to. I would also make a note of all of the just everyday scents that you really love that you're drawn to. I know for me, like when I make fresh lemon juice, like I'm really drawn to like the citrusy scent of the lemon. You know, go to a flower shop and smell some of the different types of flowers. I know me, like I love the smell of fresh roses. I know that's not all that unique, but it's just something that I'm drawn to. You might be drawn to maybe a spicier smell, like maybe you love the smell of like really spicy foods, you know, or maybe like you're really drawn to like, you know, that sort of new leather jacket smell or something. Just make a note of all of the scents that you kind of come across in everyday life that you're just really drawn to and that just really make you feel good. After you've made a list of all of your favorite scents, another thing that you just want to make a little bit of a note of is your lifestyle. You know, are you someone who works in a field where, you know, say a healthcare field where you can't have really strong scents on you all the time? Maybe you want to just have a few scents for, you know, night times and evenings out when you can wear something stronger, but you might either not want to wear a scent during the day, or you want to look for a lighter scent or a formulation that is not quite as strong and heavy. You just kind of want to make a note of like when you would wear fragrance and kind of how strong you want it to be, so that when you want your fragrance to be stronger, you want to make a note that you want something that's maybe a little bit more powerful, maybe a parfum, whereas like if you can't wear a strong scent during the day, for example, you may want to go with either no fragrance or something like a toilette, or something that's a little bit lighter and less in your face for people. I mean, I think we've all been out someplace and had the guy walk by with like the really strong Axe body spray and you're like, whoa, that guy's trying too hard. We don't want to be that person. Just saying. One thing you may want to try is even putting together an inspiration board if that's something that helps you. You know, either cut out images from magazines, do it old school, or you could maybe just get a Pinterest board and just sort of save images of things, either scents that you've loved over time or things that you like the scent of, and just kind of put them together, and it might just help for you visually to see it all together, or you could just make lists, whichever one works for you. Next, I would suggest doing some research online. You have this list now of scents that you like, scents that you're drawn to. One thing I like to do, like I'll just say pick Sephora. They have a huge selection of fragrances. They're not sponsoring this. I know I keep mentioning them. They have a big selection of fragrances, but you could do this at Ulta. I'd say any department store that has like a big selection of fragrances is probably going to be your quickest, easiest bet. Just say you're really drawn to vanilla. Type in vanilla. You can narrow down your search to fragrances, women's fragrances if that's what you want to go for. You know, just narrow down your search that way and then just see what's listed and then just read the descriptions of some of the fragrances. I do realize some fragrance descriptions can be kind of out there and not make much sense. Like, you know, this scent will remind you of walking on a beach on a spring afternoon in June when June's not spring. I don't know, whatever. But like it's some of them can be kind of out there, but you know what? It will give you a list of some of the other notes and it will just give you an idea of what the person that created the fragrance had in mind, and it might narrow down your selection. It might pique your interest. Or say, you know that you like vanilla, but you like vanilla floral. I think Sephora you can actually search like floral, and it can be warm floral, just things like that. Like, just get familiar with what's out there online and kind of make a list of things that intrigue you. One thing that I really like to do is just make a little note on my phone of just fragrances that I'm like, that sounds interesting and that sounds like something I'd like to try. It just kind of helps you from being totally overwhelmed when you actually walk into a store to look at fragrances. So you're not just like, I don't know. Like, you've already done your research, so you kind of have some names in mind. Keep an open mind, of course, but you want to just kind of have some names of some scents that you want to kind of look for while you're out, because it can get really overwhelming, and you also don't want to try too many fragrances in the store at once. So I feel like doing your research online and kind of determining which ones are really like drawing your attention can really help you narrow it down to like the ones that you really feel like you want to try, and you can prioritize your shopping trip when you actually go in person. Granted, you can order fragrances online and probably ship them back or return them. Most stores nowadays have a great return policy. I find that can get a little pricey and with shipping and stuff like that, so I would suggest do your research online and then go into a store. Now, after you've done your research and you actually go into a store with your little list that's on your phone, or even just a little note card if you're old school, no judgments, I still write out lists myself all the time. What you want to do is you want to go into the store and you are not planning to buy. As difficult as that may be, trust me, I know. But you're not in the store to purchase anything. What you're there to do is test out fragrances. You really need to try a fragrance on you personally to know which ones actually work. Because one might work in theory, but it may not actually work in practice. What I like to do, and I feel like this works better in the warmer months, you can do it in the winter months too, but I kind of like to go in, I have sleeves right now, but I like to go in kind of with a short sleeve shirt ideally, and I like to test out no more than 6, I would say. I think that should be your top goal. 4 might even be better, but you can go with 6. And I'll try like 1 on each wrist. I'll usually try 1 in each sort of elbow joint. And if you really want to get into it, you can maybe do 1 like maybe in the middle of your arm if you want to go with 6. Basically, you just sort of spray on each one on that area. Don't touch it, don't rub it in. Just spray it let it sit. If you haven't narrowed it down to 6 and there's a lot more, you can even use those little like tag things. That might help you narrow it down if you went in and you're like, I have 10 and I don't know which ones to narrow down. If you don't like it on the little, like, those little stick things, I don't have them, but they're like, usually like a little stick of paper or something. If you don't like it on that, you're probably not gonna like it on you. You might, but you probably won't, so that will help you narrow it down. Once you have your top ones, again, spray it on, let it sit. You can smell it, obviously, when you first put it on, but just spray it on, one of them on each area. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But then you're gonna leave the store. Or you can do some other shopping or something, but you're not intending to buy anything. Go about the rest of your day. Every once in a while, you can sniff. Just see how it's doing, see how you like it. Because honestly, you want a fragrance that you like from the minute you put it on until it fades, hopefully at the end of the day, depending on how strong the formula is. Keep checking on it, and I guarantee you there'll be a few that you're definitely going to be drawn to more than others. And if you like a fragrance after you've worn it the entire day, that's a fragrance that you should definitely be checking out. At some point, you're going to find one that you just gravitate towards more than other times, and you know what? That's the one you want to purchase. You can either go back to the store, or personally, I like to, after that test, I like to order it online because I can use Ebates and get cash back. Just a little thing. If you want to sign up for Ebates, shameless plug, I have a link. It's an affiliate link down in the description box. That's what I like to do because fragrances can be expensive, especially if you're buying quality. After you do this a few times, you're really going to get the hang of which brands you're more drawn to, which types of scents you're more drawn to. It can take time, but you know what? It's worth putting in the effort. And you really do have to try things in person. I will tell you, like, I am a huge fan of Tom Ford fragrances. In fact, I would say most of my favorite fragrances now are all Tom Ford. First time I went to try some Tom Ford fragrances, I tried Velvet Orchid, Black Orchid, and I think the Noir Pour Femme. And honestly, I totally thought on paper I was gonna love Black Orchid. It does not smell right on me. I don't know what it is. Like most Tom Ford fragrances I fall in love with. For some reason, Black Orchid just doesn't, is it Black Orchid or Black Velvet? I think it's Black Orchid. Yeah, it doesn't smell right on me. It's not a bad scent, and I know like other people like have smelled it, like when I tested it, I had a few other people smell it on me and they're like, oh, that's nice. And I'm like, it just does not smell right on me. You have to love it first and foremost because you're wearing it. So you know what? You gotta do you, boo-boo. You are not picking a fragrance for your significant other. You're not picking a fragrance for your friends. You're picking a fragrance that you love. I wanna share with you some of my like current signature scents. It's summertime right now if you're watching this video when I'm uploading it. So honestly, like my go-to daytime scent right now is the Tom Ford Neroli Portofino. I'm drawn very much to citrusy scents, not all of them, but this one I really love. It does have some lemon in it, but it's more of an orangey smell. I wasn't sure I liked this when I first put it on, but after a while, like it really took to me, and it just feels very fresh and summery, and I really like it for something light, especially when it's hot out. So for summertime, I've been really loving using this. In the summertime, if I want something a little bit sexier, a little bit spicier, I've been loving the Tom Ford Orchid Soleil. Adore this fragrance. It's very creamy. It's not overpowering floral, but there is a floral scent to it. It's creamy. Creamy is like the only word I can think to describe this. So I feel like I've got like a fresh scent that I wear during the day when I want sort of this nice fresh pick-me-up. And when I want something sexier, I gotta go with something creamy. When the weather gets colder and I want something a little bit, I don't know, something a little bit warmer and something more enveloping for the colder weather months, I've been loving the Tom Ford Noir Pour Femme, which just means noir for women because I think there's a for men scent. I've been loving this. I've never gotten more compliments when I wear this. I love it. Feels nice, and honestly, the Tom Ford fragrances last so long. You may not be somebody who wants a strong fragrance that lasts a long time. I never feel like these are like offensive or like overdone, but they're always like, I feel like if somebody hugs me, I want them to notice my fragrance. You know what I mean? Like I don't want them to notice my fragrance like when I first walk in the room and I'm like, you know, 10 feet away from them. I want, if somebody comes up and gives me a hug or is really close to me, I want them to sort of notice that hint of fragrance, and I definitely think that the Tom Ford fragrances are just A+ for doing that. They're not sponsoring this video. My favorite fragrances right now happen to be Tom Ford, but I do know like other signature fragrances I've had over the years. Spring Flower by Creed was like, I'd say my early 20s fragrance. It's less common, it's pretty pricey, but I still have a bottle, and I smelled it the other day, and it totally brought me right back to like being a sales girl at Bloomingdale's and like my first times like going out clubbing and like really getting into fashion and stuff like that. So that kind of brought me back. Versace Blonde, which I don't think they make that anymore, but that was a signature fragrance of mine for a long time. It was one of the few that I actually went through multiple bottles of. That's when you know something is a signature fragrance, when you go through multiple bottles of it. Like I have bottles I'll buy of perfume, never buy another bottle because I never go through it. If I repurchase, you know it's a winner. So I want to know what your favorite scents are, and if you have a signature fragrance, I want to know what it is. Please leave it in the comment section below. If you have any fragrances that you love that you think I should be checking out, please leave those in the comment section below too. I'd love to hear from you. I love your suggestions. Also, if you have any video ideas, video suggestions, things you want me to review, again, leave those below. If you found this video helpful, please give it a big thumbs up. A while back, I was suffering from anxiety and depression, and I truly believe that beauty and makeup saved my life. And I believe it can save yours too. So if you want to join my Starlet squad, be sure you hit that subscribe button. You can follow me on all my social media channels. The links will all be in the description box below, along with links to all the fragrances I mentioned. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you join me next time.